Chris did not think that he would come on the call today and leave with a potential $1 million plus new business flow. Literally, you can see people who are coming in with funded SaaS applications, funded businesses, wondering what the hell just happened on the Pitchfreaks call. You are not free from breathing easy until you exit. If you are wondering, concerned, challenged with making an emotional connection with your qualified prospects, today's call is all about that. You're going to see deep dives with our wonderful pal, Chris Walthouse at Cascade Trails. You're going to see how we change his life with a potential new revenue stream that costs him nothing to encourage here and can potentially make him millions. And then you also saw deep dives here. You saw Amy Palvidow on the call today. Amy Palvidow gave credit to Pitchfreak, raising over $250 million applying the Pitchfreaks techniques here. So if you're impressed with big numbers, that's a pretty big number here. Not only that, she's got another $10 million term sheet here for her startup, her first software startup on top of that. So the winning keeps coming in the Pitchfreaks community. Not only did you hear that, you heard great insights here from our pal Dorothy, Andreas here, deep dives about processes and insights and making that emotional connection as well, and so much more on today's call.
I did want to come on just to share a success story with
Let's go.
you. So the occupational hazard of coming into the Pitchfreaks room and hanging out in this room for so long as I have is you start sounding like Antonio. So every time I write my social media post, I'm like, do I have this? Do I have this in there? Where's the call to action? Right? All this other stuff. But I will tell you, this works. It works. I had three potential customers reach out to me this week and wanting to see my software because I had somehow hit a nerve with them. And I just like, oh yeah, I saw you on this. And oh, what you were telling me, oh yes, it's exactly what we need because I start sounding like you. So it's like, I just want to let you know that. I just thought that would be cool to let you know.
We love you, Amy Palvidow. And by the way, congratulations, Amy Palvidow, on 5 years at Facilimax. Tell me, for you specifically here, what does 5 years in business mean to you?
We're just kind of now starting to hit our stride. I mean, like we spent so many years in research and development, but this year it seems like it's just snowballing and you get this whole hell of a lot of momentum. I guess after you spend a good time, you obviously do your market research, you do all those things, you develop your products, you do all of that kind of stuff. And then when you really start getting out and talking to customers and refining your messaging and doing all that stuff, and you find your lane, right? It took us a little while to find what our lane was. But once you hit it, it's like super cool to see how fast it grows. Like, it's almost like, where I'm a 5-year overnight success. Like, I don't know, but it's like, you have to go through all that painstaking work to get to this point, but it's cool to see people reaching out to me now. Like, they want to see my stuff. Like, it's really kind of groovy for sure.
Well, I mean,
So, yeah.
And by the way, how much experience do you have in your space, Amy Palvidow? You've been at it for a while.
Okay. A lot. Yeah. So I've been in commercial real estate for 21 years. So my product is designed for commercial real estate. So I've been doing it a long time.
Right.
Sure.
And the background here is you've come up with ideas that really bring meaningful value. And if you could share just a little bit about the value that you bring from your point of view to your customers, could you share about some value statements that you bring for your customers?
Oh yeah. At the end of the day, and this is what you made me come up with this tagline, by the way. And so it's now everywhere. It's everywhere. We make real estate investing more profitable. At the end of the day, that's what we do, right? How we get there, I can talk all day long, but it's about we're using data and creating transparency into the building operations. But at the end of the day, we make real estate investing more profitable is what we do on every day. And that's kind of our goal. And because, that's it.
Love it. All right. And we got more to do with Amy Palvidow. Amy Palvidow, I know that you got a jam, but thank you for that. We love celebrating with you as well. And appreciate you so very much. If you have any time left to share an insight about connecting emotionally through a joy or relief statement here, we'd love to hear from you about that based upon somebody that knows what they're doing. Oh, by the way, can we share some numbers? Give folks some data points here. How much money have you raised that you attribute to the Pitchfreaks approach here? Give some folks. I don't want people to hear it from me. I want them to hear it from you. Give us some numbers. How well does this work?
It works phenomenally. I have raised for real estate. This is back in the day
It's like a
when I
twisted
was
her.
raising
It's
for.
like, okay,
I know.
mom. All right, mom.
All right,
I'll do
fine.
my
All right.
poem.
So yes, so I raised $250 million for real estate because I switched and pivoted from what I was doing when I got into this room, and then I am currently raising. Hopefully, it'll hit the bank soon. $10 million for my tech company. So yes, it works.
And
It
and
definitely
and
works.
and
So yeah,
for folks who don't know, you came in originally with the Pitchfreak room. I think you were raising 25 or 50 million bucks was the game plan,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
something hit you
yeah,
and says, "Wait a second,
yeah.
I need to make a shift." Can you share briefly that story?
It was you making me focus on the value from my customer's perspective and going through that and understanding the back to the joy and relief statement is okay, if I'm really doing my market research and I'm really listening to my customers, what is it that they truly want? And I was too small. They wanted to invest with a woman fund manager, but their check sizes were much, much larger. So I had to totally, completely reposition myself and talk about different things that in my background that would attribute for them to wanting to give me money to do these deals. And we were all also, we were in workforce housing and affordable housing, and we were solving a couple problems. But yes, it was really truly trying to understand what my customer needed, and he kind of forced me to do that. So it was great.
I love it. It's like it's like I
Because
forfeit.
yeah, because when you could, but the big thing was, and when I found you was when I was shifting,
Right,
because I had been doing deal by deal raises, right? So
right,
I'd be raising 2 million here, 3 million there, but I was starting a fund,
right.
and I was completely having to reinvent myself when I found this room, which was super cool. So you forced me to go through the steps to reinvent myself, and what do I need to think about from a branding position? What do I need from a positioning statement? What do I think need to think from these things and the other? And oh, by the way, Amy, shocker, you have a new customer now. So go find out what the hell they want. Right. And so that's what you kind of forced me to do. So it was great. It
Oh,
was great for
you're the
sure.
best, pal. All right. Well, thank you, Amy. We know that you got a jam here. We
Yeah.
appreciate you so very much for what you do in the Pitchfreaks community here. We love you, pal. Look,
All right.
it's all-star call today. Dorothy, Andreas, are you ever breathing easy while you're competing at a high level and pushing to scale?
Antonio, I love that you brought this up. So here's a formula that I have identified over the years. 25% of people are going to succeed. They're going to make money. They're committed to results, not excuses. They're committed to, will do whatever it takes. I mean, look, when I started in business, I would lie awake on Monday nights sweating. How many haircuts do I have to do to cover payroll on Friday? 25% of people are never going to make it. They're going to invest in the program, buy the book, not read the book. They're going to buy the they're going to show up and get all the information that they can get, but they're never going to implement. And then there's nothing wrong. I think they just haven't found the right thing to do in life yet.
Maybe.
But
Yep.
25% of people are going to, the other 50% are going to be on the fence. And what determines which way they go is the circle of influence that they put themselves in.
Mm, mm.
And I can see this so clearly. I can see it so clearly. And so, if you're in this room, there is a very, very high chance you're in the 25% of maniacs like us.
Call. You're on the Pitchfreaks call on Clubhouse with your pal, the Pitchfreak and Tony White, 30-year Silicon Valley marketing launch pro, author of the book Close with Your Open, the Pitchfreaks Guide to 10-second pitches that sell, available on Amazon. We got a packed house today in the Pitchfreaks community. Follow us on our YouTube channel. The YouTube community here, Pitchfreaks on YouTube, is youtube.com/@Pitchfreaks. We'd love to have you as part of the Pitchfreaks community. We already passed 100 plus folks here. Now we're off to our next goal here, which is 500 members. We want 500 subscribers onto our YouTube call. If you really want to help a founder, if you really, really deeply want to help somebody who's building a business, our YouTube call is a work session for you. We're walking you through and guiding you through the 3-step winning pitch framework. We're guiding you how to connect from a value proposition, emotionally, a call to action, and you get to see real life founders coming in and getting direct, meaningful solutions, transforming their business in front of your eyeballs and earballs. And some people don't quite grasp it on their first time or the first 2 times or what have you, but they say something's different about this call. Something's a little different about this call. And then they work with us for a couple times. They come up on stage to get some, we've got folks here. We think about Louis. We got a great call with Louis here, and he's got an incredible business focus on compliance. The Pitchfreaks approach applies to any business, any industry, any experience level. The thing that you all have in common, the thing that you brand new folks to business and entrepreneurship have in common with the folks who've already exited with multi-million-dollar returns, is that you can all improve your pitch. There is nobody, including the Pitchfreak, that has a pitch that can't be improved. Look, think about a horse, a wild horse. If you're going to take a wild horse here and make a wild horse workable on a farm or a ranch, you've got 2 different kinds of people who can approach that project. Somebody who's never ridden a horse before, somebody who's ridden a horse for a few days, or somebody who is a proven bronc-busting rodeo superstar, right? And that person is going to approach that horse in a different way. Chris, can I get you on the microphone here? Is it possible to get you on the microphone, Chris? Chris Walthouse.
Absolutely.
Okay, Chris. All right, now, and by the way, I might get this wrong because I don't know anything about horses, but I have an idea. When you have a horse that you're trying to train to work with you on the ranch, what would separate an experienced horse rider, like exceptional, veteran, superstar, elite level horse rider, as they approach a horse from somebody who's never experienced a horse before? What would be something that would set those 2 people apart, just from how the horse feels about that person, for example?
What a great question, Antonio. The first thing that's going to separate them is very simple: time in the saddle. Being comfortable sitting on the back of a horse is extremely important because, as we all know, they have that saying, a horse can feel a fly land on its back. So when you're sitting on its back, it feels everything that you do, from the breathing to the rigidity that you may have if you've never sat there, where your hands are placed, all of that. But I think the beauty of it, Antonio, is that as much as it's different, starting a horse and starting a business, it's so similar. To start a horse that's never been around humans before, that came out of the wild untouched, the very first thing you have to do is get that horse to trust you that you're not going to eat it.
Yep.
So this first thing you got to get your clients in your business to trust you. And then you have to clearly communicate with consistency. And I think in business they call that the vision, right? Or what is it called? The vision statement or the mission statement. Everybody has to understand the mission statement. And with a wild horse, you've got to have clear, consistent communication. It has to be asked the same way every single time so they get it. And then another most important thing, there's a list of these things that are very important, but you've got to show the horse leadership. It has to believe that you know how to take it out of the pasture, put the halter and the saddle on it, put the bridle on it, lead it out on trail, and then bring it back to safety where there's food and water. So it has to believe that you're capable of leading it to safety. So you've got trust, you've got clear, consistent communication, you've got leadership, and the last thing it needs, and I think everyone in business can say this, maybe in business they call it passion, but with horse training, we call it love. The horse needs to feel loved. It needs to be appreciated. It needs to understand that everything that you're doing is coming from a loving ask, not a demand. You're asking this horse, do you want to connect with me? Do you want to partner up with me? We call it joining up. Do you want to join up with me and become a partner and one? And the really cool thing, and I'll go back to you, Antonio, is that the word equine or equus is equal us. And when you get on the back of a horse, you become one. And on the scale of human being the predator and horse being the prey, it's a magical thing to become one and connect and join up with that horse. Great question, Antonio.
You guys, Chris Walthouse just dropped the mic. Chris Walthouse just dropped the mic. I defy you to find a better, concise, focused message that anybody can relate to in business. Chris Walthouse could be taking his horse onto the stage of the TED Talk. He would get a 50-minute standing ovation. And by the way, Chris, I don't even know if you do public speaking or not. I would assume that you would from how good that you are, but I would venture that you could have an entire career talking just what you did to business groups. I can imagine you riding your horse onto the stage at the Google complex and do a Google talk. I can imagine you with your horse here at a TED talk at the ranch. I mean, you could have a large, successful public speaking business focusing on the parallels between being a horseman, a horse person, right? And a business person, or an entrepreneur. Because Chris, did you ever articulate what you just did in the way that you did to another group? Is this the first time you did this because of the question, or have you already been, is this presentation already in your pocket? You've done it a dozen times before.
No, well, first, Antonio, wow, thank you. You just melted my heart, made me really smile with that. The thing is, a lot of people come and they want to know, how do you do this? How do you take an untouched Mustang and put him out on trail and trust that it's not going to just run away with your rider? And I say that often. What I just said to you, I say it at least 4 or 5 times a week with a new volunteer or with a group of new riders. The first thing that we establish, because on top of that, when I bring my horses out, it's totally different than most trail riding places that you go to. I don't have to tie my horses to a tie. I don't need to tie them between cross ties. They stand ground tied and allow me to groom them and saddle them and then match them up with the rider. And the riders can be standing over there with carrots and apples and all the goodies that attract a horse. They are so connected and they believe that I'm going to lead them to the promised land. They just stand and wait. So no, I've said it a few times, Antonio, but
have you ever said it? Have you ever said it in the business context? Because you made parallels to business multiple times. Have you ever said it in this particular way, applying the concepts to business?
No, I haven't. I think you just asked a great question, and I thought, even just listening, because although I wasn't on stage, I was listening, and I'm a big fan of yours, and I've been listening to you for a long time. And anytime I come in here, you spark my thoughts headed towards business. Because as a rancher, you never really think of it as business. You think of it as everyday life. But you have drawn a parallel that I could just feed off of.
Chris, and by the way, here we're gonna go to the audience here for a moment here, but I need lightning bolts, I need prayer signs, I need hearts, I need chili peppers, everything for Chris right now. Everything for Chris right now. Amy Palvidow here is with us on the house here. Everything for Chris right now. And let me go. I'm gonna go to Lauren Lapointe and Dorothy Andreas. And I don't know if Amy got to hear this, but we need to do one thing. We need to stop the regular programming here in the Pitchfreaks community right now. And we're going to throw a lot of love onto Chris Walthouse right now, because I think that, and even Dwayne Garman knows this here because we've all gone through training here. I want you to just take a moment and just recognize what happened. Let's just breathe it in for a second. Chris just blew the doors off the Pitchfreaks house today, doing what he does at the expert level that he does it. Dorothy Andreas, when I tell Chris that he could make a living as a public speaker on any stage that he likes with the foundational talk that he just did, would you disagree?
You are so right on, Chris. That was amazing. I mean, captivating. We were all captivated here. You created a visual for us. It was clear. It was concise. I loved it. Absolutely, Antonio. Right on. Right on.
Look, Chris, here's the deal. Want a new revenue stream, Mr. Walthouse? Want a new meaningful revenue stream for your program? Want to drive more charitable donations? Want to drive more business your way? This is the talk that you can give on the ranch, and then give people this experience, right? We call it horse sense, right? The connection between how you understand your customers and working in partnership with your customers through physically learning how to ride a horse, approach a horse, or advance your horse riding skills. This is a no-brainer in the Pitchfreaks community. You can charge thousands of dollars per person. Google's happy to send a busload of Googlers over to you to go through this experience. Meta, All the technology companies would send busloads of people. They'll send jets over to you. It doesn't matter. They're happy to do this. You need to be able to do this for the people who can afford to pay you what you deserve to be able to deliver this incredible, not just a lesson, an experience. Chris Walthouse could drive another 6 figures, 7 figures his way with that talk. Sometimes you have to walk outside of your industry to grasp ideas. And that's what I do on a regular basis. Maybe I am as effective as I am because I don't focus on one specific industry. I spend a lot of time in one industry, but I regularly venture out into other industries. And when you learn this concept of horse sense, or you learn the question of joining with the horse, Chris did not think that he would come on the call today and leave with a potential $1 million plus new business flow. Chris Walthouse, tell me the truth. You didn't come on here thinking that you were going to leave with a brand new potential revenue stream that doesn't cost you anything to invest in, that doesn't require you to do anything different from what you're doing, just repositioning an offering to a different group who would love that experience. Chris Walthouse, you didn't expect this today on the Pitchfreaks call, did you?
Antonio, the truth is no, but coming in here and listening to you, nothing's impossible. You put the possibilities up there and you just have to grasp them. So no, I didn't, but I knew hanging out with you, anything's possible, Antonio.
Let's go, Chris Walthouse. Love you, pal, here. And look, we're gonna spend time with Chris. Chris, we're gonna reach out to you here. We're gonna talk about how we can make this thing happen for you, because you deserve it. You're doing some beautiful work, important work here. You're not only you building a business, but you're also building a community, and you're providing service to so many people here. So we want to be of support to you as well. By the way, from a show of emojis, or you can throw it in the chat, throw one in the chat, or show me some emojis here. How many people would love to see Chris Walthouse's expanded talk about this topic here? From a show of emojis here, show of hearts, throw a one in the chat here. How many of you would love to spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour with Chris learning about this process here, and with using the analogy of a horse and that connection that we have with a horse and the connection to the customer? And Chris said it, by the way, Chris used the right word. Most people in business don't use this word. But if you bought my book, if you've even seen the cover of my book, it's about how to get your prospects to fall in love with you. And I have lots of O's in it. Okay? You need to partner with your customer. Your customer needs to know that you're in a leadership position. Otherwise, why do they need you? Why do they need you as a coach? Why do they need you as a trainer? Why do they need you as a guide if you are not leading them to something? They need to feel confident. They need to know that you've been in the saddle before many times. Difficult times, Antonio. Right? Chris, what's coming to your mind with that?
It's beautiful how you've made me look at it from the business aspect, and how you can tie it in with all this horse sense. It's beautiful. Thank you, Antonio.
And for you, Chris, I mean, that could be your thing. It doesn't have to be your thing, but it can be a thing. That partnership between the rider and the horse is a lot like a business leader and their customers. I mean, my job is to create these connections. That's my job. That's why I get the big bucks, making connections that other people aren't making, that then unlock new potential. Unlock new potential. Tell me on this call, just think about it, you guys. You don't even have to do emoji or anything. If money was no object, how many of you would love to go to Joshua Tree, to Cascade Trails here, and hang out with Chris for the day and go through this business training, learning about all the horse, learning about that connection between business sense, horse sense, and business sense, right? It's a no-brainer. And just like you saw that transformation take place, what I was doing, did I teach Chris how to ride a horse? I don't even know how to ride a horse. I rode a horse once in my life. I need experts. I need legit pros to work my magic. If you don't know what you're doing, or if you're early on what you're doing, right? I can give you the baseline, I give you the foundations, I can give you some fundamentals, right? But Pitchfreaks works with pros, people who have deep levels of experience in their space. And what happens is, when I get working with these folks, it's like a magic trick. It's like a judo move, and it's never to be malicious or manipulative, right? It's just the way that it works out. There's a surprise that happens working with a pitch freak, especially if you have extensive experience in your space. Because all that I do is focusing on pitches and creating a non-obvious connections, that help you make deeper connections with your customer, your prospect, or your audience, right? That's where the magic comes. And that helps to help you stand out from everybody else. We had a call yesterday, for instance, and Mike was on the call. And remember, this is not a disparaging conversation. Mike came on the call. He has experience here with multi-million-dollar sales programs. He's got a new AI app. He came on the call. I don't know if Mark is with us here today. He's not here with us today. But I'm not talking out of school. I'm not talking trash. But I'm being very clear with you guys. Mike came on the call yesterday, and I walked him through a process that gave him as much focus and insight and shift that we did for Chris today. But Mike couldn't see it quite yet. It was his first time on stage because he was offering an AI-related CRM application that helps people, qualify prospects or make calls or what have you. And within less than 10 minutes, it didn't take me 10 minutes to do it. Shifted him to a positioning where he can come in and dominate with a large market, the most lucrative market from his own words. And he didn't see it. He's I'd rather offer my product to everybody rather than specialize in this highly lucrative, specific group where I can create this particular advantage in an area that I have deep levels of knowledge for, right? Dorothy, Andreas, the idea here is he's got a product that helps people get access to calls using CRM. It doesn't really matter because we've heard a dozen of them at least, right? When I walked him through the process, this approach that he has, he says, look, if I could dominate the insurance space, because these are a lot of people that have to book calls. If I could dominate the insurance space, I said, well, what would be the title of the person that you would help support the most? It'd be an agent. I said, great. So if you're an insurance agent looking to get that first call advantage or that first call contact, something like that. If you're an insurance agent looking to drive, expand, increase first call contacts, I think that was the term, right? My solution, blah, 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 blah. He listened to that. He heard it. Everybody heard on the call, right? And he said, but this thing helps everybody. My solution helps everybody. And the challenge here is for everybody on the call is, look, trying to help everybody is going to cost you money. Trying to help everybody is going to increase your customer acquisition cost. Trying to help everybody is going to make you a mediocre offering in a world of mediocre offerings. You're going to be one of many AI CRM related solutions for sales. But if you are the number one AI CRM relationship solution here for insurance-focused agents trying to increase that first call contact, now we have a different story. Because who's competing in that space? Nobody, right? Because everybody is trying to be everything to everyone. They want everybody. You guys, 30 years doing this, you guys. 30 years doing this. You can't be everything to everybody. You can't make everybody feel something. If you're not the authority in your space here, why? Because there's not a person on this call that doesn't have some domain expertise that they can be out right now on social media, whatever channel of the choice is here, and put their flag in the ground and make a claim for something. And if you're not doing it, it's because you're nervous. If you're not doing it, it's because you lack confidence. If you're not doing it, it's because you're not sure of what the next step is, where you should go, if people even care. I'm here to tell you. I promise you. I was worried. I get nervous every time I get on this call. Is anybody going to show up? I promise you. 3 years of doing this, we've never had a situation where nobody showed up, right? But I tell you, every time I get the call up, I say, I wonder if anybody's going to show up today, right? I wonder if we're going to have any good nuggets today, right? I wonder if anybody's going to like us on YouTube. I wonder if anybody's going to watch our videos. I wonder if anybody's going to inquire about services and books and training and programs. I wonder all the time. I don't wonder for long because I got results, right? But I do wonder, right? Before you open the curtain to the stage, you wonder, is this audience going to enjoy what you're doing? Is there even an audience? I'm here to tell you guys, your time is done. Your time is over. You need to make a decision today. Even if it's for the next 48 hours, 72 hours. What if I was the go-to authority on X? Plug in the X. You decide what that X is. Imagine yourself the next 72 hours. What if you were the go-to authority in X? What would it be? Throw it in the chat. If you were the go-to authority and you can only pick one thing, what would you be the go-to authority of? What would you want people knowing you for? Because if you are not the go-to authority, AI is going to eat your lunch. If you are not one of the people involved in the conversation when people are making a decision about your industry here, you're not included. The time where you can hang out and build authority over a longer period of time, it's gone, you guys. You guys need to be on social media. You need to be doing what Chris is doing. You need to be in these networks. You need to be in a situation here, even if you think you are talking to nobody. Start planning out your message, your authority message. And remember, you can apply the Pitchfreaks principle to do that. What's the one thing you need to do if you're going to be an authority? You need to bring people value. And what kind of people do you need to bring value to? The people that have the most urgent, pressing a need for what it is you have to offer. Right? And how do you do that? You connect with them. You bring them joy or relief through a joy or relief statement. That's what we talk about every Tuesday on this call, connecting emotionally. I could have ended the call right after Chris was done with his presentation because that was everything. If you didn't get an emotional connection from Chris, if you didn't feel authority from Chris and what he's doing here, then do you have nerve endings? Is the blood flowing through your body? Right? Is that heart working of yours? Because it's undeniable. It's reflexive. It is involuntary. That's what the De Niro nod is, you guys. It's just a way for me to help you describe what you all felt when you heard Chris speaking. That connection. And I believe in you guys. I believe in each and every one of you. You have inside of you the ability to be the authority in your space. You're trying to figure out, can I do it all? Can I go bigger? No, you can't. Sorry. You need to pick. You need to make that first step. You need to choose, William. Am I going to help folks over 50 with their mobility, or am I going to be doing some generic weight loss concept? See, Shula has to make a choice. Every one of you guys have to make a choice. If you are already the expert in your space, all you need to do is start talking about what you can do specifically tailored to a market, an audience that has the most urgent and pressing need. So you just need to go through that exercise. The hardest thing for all of you guys to do that have deep levels of experience is to make your claim, stake your claim. Think about the claim that I'm staking. The first 30 words out of your mouth. Your pitch introduction, slide 1. That's the stake that I'm putting into the ground. Because that's enough. That's enough. If you can't pass slide 1 in your investor pitch or in your customer pitch here, slides 2 through 10 don't matter. Right? You need to figure out what is the slide 1 process for your customers, for your industry, for your challenge here. For Chris, Google and large enterprise organizations are looking to create great training experiences for teams. There ain't never been no experience training event like Chris can provide at Cascade Trails. Chris could charge $500,000 for an event. Chris, when I say you could do $500,000 events, maybe you do $500,000. How many $500,000 events a year do you do, Chris Walthouse?
I haven't done a $500,000 event yet.
Okay, no problem. How many $250,000 events do you do every year, Chris Walthouse?
Geez, we do some rock climbing retreats and weddings, but I don't know that they bring in $250,000.
How many $100,000 events have you done within the past 5 years, Chris Walthouse?
None yet.
Okay,
Antonio.
Here's my point, Chris. And by the way, this is not me being silly or funny at all, because I don't know. The answer could be Chris does those all the time. I don't know, Chris. And by the way, if Chris told me I did 3 last year, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not have been surprised. But if he's not doing this, I'm telling you, he could be doing this. Because think about this. There's Davos. There is a South by Southwest. There's all kinds of events where hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent. Hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent. Doing what? Bringing people together, networking, connections, and so on. And they do the same boring stuff all the time, just at a different level, right? There's something special about what Chris is doing. There's something that creates an even deeper level of experience, a deeper emotional connection between people working on a team, not just on a team on themselves, but with the horse, with the trainers, with the guides, getting out of your heads, you guys. Getting out of your heads unlocks opportunity. So I can imagine Chris having multiple $100,000 events next year if he wanted to do that. And by the way, Chris, you email me, I'll lay it out for you. I'll lay it out for you. How that's possible, right? I believe in Chris. I believe in each and every one of you. Your job is to do this. Next 72 hours, ask yourself the question, if I were to be known as the go-to person for X, what would X be? I want to know what it is. Blair, I want to know what it is. Jimmy T, I want to know what it is. Flicks of Health, Daniel, Bradley, I want to know what it is. And then you got one step after that. Write it up. Commit it to paper. Commit it to digital ink. Commit it to text. Commit it to audio. Right? Take Laura Frank Bernard's advice, LSB's advice here. Right? Use ChatGPT to help you through the process. I'm cool with that. ChatGPT is a great tool for experts. If you don't know what you're doing, ChatGPT is going to give you what every other cliche concept is going to be for everybody else. You think you use ChatGPT and compete against the Pitchfreak? Are you kidding me? Come on, you guys. I'm using ChatGPT too. And Claude and Gemini and everything else. You think I'm messing about? Come on. We're here to help you take it to another level. Okay? ChatGPT ain't going to tell you this. Chris could plug into ChatGPT all day long. He's not going to give them. ChatGPT is not going to spit out this answer for him that we just did. By the way, even if I brought one event for $100,000 to Chris next year, I'm assuming he'd find that pretty good. That'd be great, cool. I like it. Can I have more? Right? Think about this, you guys. Chris wouldn't even plan on doing this in the Pitchfreaks room today. Every day you come in the Pitchfreaks room, this is a possibility. Every single day. Why? Because I'm open to it. I'm not here to give you some canned presentation every single time you come in this call. We never have the same presentation. We have the same general topics, the same general topics, but we approach it in a different way with different people. Your job is to see how this applies to you. Your job is to be selfish on this call. How do I take what this crazy guy says and apply it to my business? Where are my customers? Where are the people in my space that have the most urgent and pressing need? Because if you don't find people with an urgent and pressing need, there is no urgency to buy. If you don't find people with an urgent and pressing need, there is no way they're going to find value for what you're doing. And if they don't find value for what you're doing, it's harder to sell. It's harder to sell at a margin that is meaningful. Everything connects. You don't have to guess in the Pitchfreaks community. Just like Chris taught us. I tell you, Chris, the executive team, the management team, the board, the people who are getting rewarded by being able to go to Cascade Trails and work with you here for the day or the weekend, their life will change forever. I don't know if we changed Chris's life or not. We might have, but I know for sure Chris changed my life with the value that he gave, with the approach that he gave. Because if it wasn't for Chris, I wouldn't have had the idea. And now maybe Chris and I build something together, or at least give him the outline and he goes and builds it. Chris didn't say that the horse wants to feel respected. Chris didn't say that the horse wants to feel appreciated. Chris didn't say that the horse wants to be acknowledged. Chris said the horse wants to feel loved. And not just that kind of sugar-coated love, the love where you know somebody's going to do what it takes to be worthy of that love. Are you willing to do what it takes to be worthy of that love, of that credibility, of that respect in your industry, in your community? Are you willing to do what it takes? Are you going to put your business career on the line for your customers? Are you going to do what it takes to protect your horse and make sure that that horse knows that you're there for them no matter what? That's what I'm telling you guys. I'm leading by example. If you watch what I'm doing on YouTube and TikTok and LinkedIn here, who does this? People charge thousands and thousands of dollars for getting access to this kind of information and this level of coaching and support. People on this call have spent tens of thousands of dollars with the Pitchfreak to get extra time with me. Specifically focus on their particular business. I'm not holding back with you guys. We only have 90 minutes. We got 5 minutes left here. And we want to make sure that you have a mission today. The action that I want you to take is, if you are going to be the authority in a space where there are people that have an urgent and pressing need for what you do, what is it? What is it? And guess what? You can change it. But you can't change something that you don't make a commitment to. And so if you don't make commitment, life is so easy in a way, isn't it? Not making commitments, being without commitments, life is so easy, isn't it? Not really. Because what you're not thinking about is the time that's passing. What you're not thinking about is the opportunity, the window of opportunity that's closing. You can only go without commitment for so long until there is nothing to commit to. There is no opportunity. The opportunity is gone. Every opportunity has a window. You either get into that opportunity within that window or you don't. Right? Everybody has that window. It's called life, you guys. It's called advancement in technology. It's called change in society approach. The mores of the world. We don't know when our window is going to close. It's called life. If you're able now to make a decision for you, not for me, for you. Write down on a piece of paper. Don't share it with anybody. You don't have to. But you've got to make a decision. Maybe you've already made the decision. I'm going to be the go-to person in this particular space because people in this space have an urgent and pressing need for what I got because I got this specific technique, process, system, approach, application, offering that solves that challenge in record time with incredible value, and people love that journey as they go through it. You never know what's going to happen in the Pitchfreaks community that's going to bring you value and help you get an edge over your competition. And most importantly here, an edge for yourself. So if you appreciate what we're doing here in the Pitchfreaks community, come make sure that you sign up in the Pitchfreaks community, specifically on YouTube. Join us on YouTube. Share these calls on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. We appreciate it. We're going for 500 subscribers in our YouTube call. We want to help you, ask you to help us in order to do that here. And the reward, more Pitchfreaks content. You never know which piece of Pitchfreaks content is going to help unlock your fuller potential and help you get that instant interest and engagement that your business deserves. Until next time, we'll see you then.